Welcome to this week's episode of Zero Tolerance for Dumb Shits. Today's topic, gun-free zones, or as I like to call it, hunting grounds for dumb shits. I'm your host, Sean. How do you fit that much stupid in your head? Armstrong. The gun control zealots would have you believe that gun-free zones are safe because they put up signs. Dumb shits. And because they know criminals will follow the law. Again, I have to say, dumb shits. Killers aren't stopped by these policies. Dumb shits. Mass shootings generally occur in places where firearms are banned. Wait a minute. Let me analyze this. They go where people don't have guns because they don't want to be shot. Dumb shits. Gun-free zones are premised on a lie that murderers will follow rules. As gun ownership has expanded over the past decade, crime has gone down. After a shooting spree, author William Burroughs once said, "They always want to take the guns away from the people who didn't do it." Burroughs continued, "I sure as hell wouldn't want to live in a society where the only people allowed guns are the police and the military." Plenty of people, especially among America's political and journalistic classes, feel differently. They'd be much more comfortable seeing ordinary Americans disarmed. And whenever there is a mass shooting or other gun incident that snags the headlines, and if it doesn't snag the headlines, they'll make sure it does. Dumb shits. They do their best to exploit the tragedy and push for laws that would, well, take the guns away from the people who didn't do it. So let me analyze that. I did nothing wrong, but I should be punished for it. Dumb shits. There are a lot of problems with this approach. But one of the most significant one is this: it doesn't work. One of the interesting characteristics of mass shootings is that they generally occur in places where firearms are banned. Again, criminals don't want to get shot. Dumb shits. Malls, schools, etc. That was the finding of a famous 1999 study by John Lott of the University of Maryland. You needed a study to tell you people are going to go where they're not going to get shot? Dumb shits. And William Lands of the University of Chicago. Chicago! There's a place to have a case study. Dumb shits. And it appears to have been borne out by experience since then as well. In a way, this is no surprise. To the politicians, obviously it is. No, they're just dumb shits. If there's someone present with a gun, and when a mass shooting begins, the shooter is likely to shoot himself. I won't even say it this time. And in fact, many mass shootings, from the high school shooting by Luke Woodham in Pearl, Mississippi, to the New Life Church shooting in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where an armed volunteer shot the attacker, have been terminated when someone retrieved a gun from a car or elsewhere and confronted the shooter. They probably could have saved more lives if they were allowed to carry it. Dumb shits. Policies making areas gun-free provide a sense of safety to those who engage in magical thinking, or dumb shits as I like to call them. But in practice, of course, killers aren't stopped by gun-free zones. This sign doesn't have a magic force field, you dumb shits. As always, it's the honest people, the very ones who wanted to be armed, who tend to obey the law. Sometimes I think we're dumb shits. This vulnerability makes some people uncomfortable. I teach gun safety, and a lot of campuses have students who have permits to carry guns. After the Virginia Tech shooting a few years ago, some of them asked if they could move, classes could be moved off campus because they felt unsafe being unarmed. Not dumb shits. I certainly would have felt perfectly safe having one of those students carrying a gun in my presence if they were smart enough to ask me, as long as they're responsible adults. I feel the same way about the other students that I know who have carry permits. Some of them are going for criminal justice, dumb shits. They're going to be carrying a gun someday anyway. Gun-free zones are premised on a lie that murderers will follow rules, and people like students are a greater danger to those around them than crazed killers. That's an insult to the honest people. Sometimes it's a deadly one. The notion that more guns mean more crime, that's been proven wrong. But the dumb shits don't listen. In fact, as gun ownership has expanded over the past decade, crime has gone down. Fortunately, the efforts to punish the people who didn't do it are getting less traction these days. Expanded background checks. Dumb shits. The Supreme Court, of course, has recognized that under the Constitution, honest people have a right to defend themselves with firearms, inside and outside the home. Something that the U.S. Court of Appeals of the 7th Circuit recently acknowledged in striking down Illinois' gun carry ban. Maybe it's the fact that they had the highest murder rate of any city in the country. More casualties in Chicago than in Afghanistan. Dumb shits. Given that gun-free zones seem to be a magnet for mass shooters, maybe we should be working to shrink or eliminate them rather than expand them. As they say, if it saves just one life, it's worth it. That's what the dumb shits say, but they never listen. Often recognized but rarely discussed, gun-free zones are dangerous. When well-meaning but misguided individuals ban guns at one location or another, they are recklessly and negligently putting your life at risk. Well, and mine too, because it really... The shooting at West Roads Mall in Omaha joins a list of shootings with a common denominator. It is a long and tragic list. Kansas City, Missouri, 2 killed in the Ward Parkway Mall. Fort Gibson, Oklahoma, Seth Trickey shot 15 rounds into Fort Gibson Middle School, injuring 4. Bailey, Colorado, a 53-year-old man holds 6 high school girls hostage and sexually assaults them. How was he, they couldn't storm the building when he was in a process of committing sexual assault? San Diego, California. Dumb shits. San Diego, California. There's no way this could be possible with their gun laws. Jason Hoffman injured 2 teachers and 3 students with a shotgun and a handgun. Littleton, Colorado. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold massacred 13 people at Columbine High School. Red Lake, Minnesota. Jeffrey Weiss murdered 7 people, including an unarmed security guard. Yeah, it was awesome to have an unarmed security guard in a gun-free zone, huh? Dumb shits. Goleta, California. Jennifer San Marco shot and killed 7 people in a post office. Going postal. Dumb shits. Federal building, by the way. You can't carry a gun there either. Salt Lake City, Utah. Some frickin' Slavic name. 5 dead at the Trolley Street Mall. Blacksburg, Virginia. Some Cho dude killed 32 people at Virginia Tech. Washington, D.C. Navy Yard. Shooter kills 12 people with a pump-action shotgun. Fort Hood, Texas. Shooter kills 32 with a handgun. On an army post of all places, because, soldiers aren't competent enough to carry a firearm. Dumb shits. Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Shooter kills 26 with a rifle. But the front door was locked, and it was a gun-free zone, so it was all good. Arapahoe High School, Colorado. Shooter wounds 1 with a shotgun. The common denominator in all these shootings took place in a gun-free zone. The shooters made the safe assumption that their evil plans had a probability of succeeding because the majority, if not all of the law-abiding citizens there, would be unarmed. They were sitting ducks. The shooter was guaranteed a target-rich environment with little chance of resistance. If we could make countries gun-free zones, I'd join the military again because it'd be an easy walk in the park. Bear in mind that every single mass shooting in the last 20 years has been in a gun-free zone. The emotional reaction of the gun haters after a mass shooting is that we must further tighten gun laws. Because, criminals are going to follow gun laws. Dumb shits. Even if the response makes some feel good, reality tells us that it isn't the best answer. Expecting a deranged, suicidal individual to honor a law prohibiting guns is sheer utopian fantasy. Creating and publicizing a gun-free zone will, in fact, increase the chances of more mass killings. Instead of putting that, this is a gun-free zone sign up, they should just put, range is hot, and then a red flag up, just so everybody knows the range is hot. How many of us, no matter how much we might hate guns, would be willing to put a sign in our front yard stating we have no guns in our home? Common sense tells us that this is an invitation to criminals. The same simple concept applies to schools, malls, and other public places. Be very wary of any dumb shit who would attempt to restrict or prohibit your constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Become a licensed gun carrier if the dumb shits will let you.